Hello. Today we're going to be talking about the subject of public relations. Public relations is a form of communication. It is one of several different forms of communication. For example, advertising is one form, sales promotion is another, direct mail would be another, sponsorship would be another. And so you can see there are many different forms of marketing communication, promotion, and public relations has its place within that. Public relations is regarded as a below-the-line form of communication. All forms of advertising are called above the line. That involves television advertising, press advertising in newspapers and magazines, cinema advertising, advertising on outdoor transport posters, and others such as obviously online and other new media, all regarded as above the line. But public relations, direct marketing and direct mail, sales promotion, sponsorship, sales literature and others are regarded as below the line. The difference being that above the line with advertising normally involves an advertising agency and involves two forms of commission. Payment from the advertiser to the advertising agency and payment on from there to the media owner who owns a television station or radio station or whatever. Below the line traditionally has involved a single payment, a fee-based payment, and so that is one payment and referred to as below the line. So, public relations is a form of communication and has been effective over time. It is mainly to do with communicating what is factually correct. It's involved with letting people know the facts of the situation, putting forward the information in relation to that, and allowing the individuals who receive that communication to make up their own mind, to decide for themselves what is right and what is wrong based upon being informed of the factual details, the truth of a situation. Therefore, it needs to be unbiased. So not only truthful, but also unbiased. That means there is no slant to it, no angle that benefits the communicator. It is simply putting forward the situation and allowing others to decide the rights and wrongs, the merits of that for themselves. There are many different definitions of public relations. Many different authors have written many different books on this subject, and many have therefore come up with their own version of a definition for public relations. I'm going to give you three actually. One is one by the IPR, the Institute of Public Relations, now a chartered organisation, it's now called the Chartered Institute of Public Relations within the United Kingdom. This was their definition for many years. I'll read it out to you. Public relations is about reputation, the result of what you do, what you say, and what others say about you. It is a discipline which looks after reputation with the aim of earning understanding and support, and it is therefore influencing people's opinion and as a result of that their behaviour. That is a source via the IPR, the CIPR in the modern age, the Chartered Institute of Public Relations. There is a famous international version, so I'll give you that because this is where the various PR organisations from various different countries around the world came together and had a summit, if you like, a discussion, and they came up with a jointly agreed definition. So I'll give you that simply because if you're not from the United Kingdom, this may be of benefit to yourself. And this reads as follows. Public relations practice is the art and social science of analysing trends, predicting their consequences, counselling organisational leaders, and implementing planned programmes of action which will serve both the organisations and the public interest. So this source, the source of this definition, is the World Assembly of Public Relations Associations, and it took place in Mexico City as long ago as August 1978. So public relations is a form of communication, and it has to bear in mind a famous model to do with communication. We have what is called the sender wishing to send a message. They wish to send that message to someone who's going to receive that communication. Sender, receiver. But between the sender and the receiver, in the middle, is the message. What is the message that the sender wishes to send to the receiver? But when the sender sends this message, they need to do what is called encode the message. Encode the message, send it, and the message is decoded by the receiver. So, sender, message, receiver, but it has to be encoded and decoded. Now this is evident when you send, for example, an encrypted message, as people do in the modern age, via electronic media, where they do not wish for it to be intercepted, or indeed, if it is intercepted, that the person who intercepts does not understand it. It's a message that is in code, if you like, and they cannot therefore understand the meaning of that. Then there is the concern over what is called noise, interruption, something that baffles that. An example of that would be when someone is actually making perhaps a phone call, mobile phone, sending a message, speaking to someone via mobile phone. They could be doing it directly or to their voicemail, but they're on a train, they're speaking freely, and suddenly the train goes through a tunnel. Suddenly there is a break in the communication gap, and only when they come out of the tunnel at the far end, then can the recipient receive the remainder of the message. So noise or interruption, something that's actually affected the understanding of that message by the recipient. So in the modern age, it's best that when the sender sends a message to the receiver, that the receiver responds in some way, a feedback loop back to the sender to say, A, yes, I have received your message. Even better, B, I understand your message. Even better again, C, to prove that I will answer the question or questions you've put in the message that you've sent me. Okay? So that is a famous communication model. So I said earlier that public relations is about reputation. This may lead to an image that people carry in their minds in relation to that reputation. But is this image going to be positive or is it going to be negative? Very often companies spend many years building up positivity over time, using planned public relations programs to improve their positivity. They do research to evaluate how positive the company or indeed its product or products are now in the minds of its chosen publics. They may start off with an awareness level or concerning the company or its product at 35, 40%, and they do a planned, sustained program of PR activities over 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And at the end of that time, they believe that they will achieve something like 75, 80% positivity, or indeed more. But it only needs one activity of a negative nature to make that awareness level plummet. So awareness that's positive can be high, and then something may occur. It may be there's a fault in a product. That fault is publicised, and people's confidence in the company then deteriorates. Famous example of this was some years ago with the company H.J. Heinz. They produced many different types of foods, including tomato ketchup and soup and others. They also produced baby foods. And some years ago, in producing baby food, it was discovered that glass had been found, pieces of glass had been found within a jar, a bottle of baby food. This was announced to the public to return any of the bottles they had back to the store. They would get their money back, and for the stores, the retailers, to send the bottles back, and the company would then reimburse them. And production of the product was stopped whilst they investigated the fault of this. Now clearly that led to a downturn in demand for Heinz baby food products. Sales fell, not only of the type of item that had been affected, which I think was apple puree, also other baby foods. But astoundingly, other Heinz products also began to notice a fall in demand. Products made by Heinz at other factories in other parts of the country, or indeed in other countries, that could not possibly have been affected by this problem, and yet people stopped buying their products because confidence had been lost. So positivity turned to negativity very, very quickly indeed. So PR is about trying to then reverse that trend to move it back to positivity once more. So PR is involved with reputation, image, positive versus negative. It could, for example, be to do with a company, as I just said, Johnson & Johnson, a company which in the main has had a very good, very positive image, although problems have occurred in that company on occasion over time. It could be a product, such as the iPhone. It could be a service, such as the health services. Indeed, it could be a person, often referred to as a celebrity. President Obama, perhaps, or Kylie Minogue. It could indeed be a country. Most people don't think of that, but it could be a country. So Iraq or Iran versus perhaps Australia. Where would you wish to go for a holiday? Iraq, Iran or Australia? And yet most people don't realise that in Australia, of the 10 most dangerous snakes in the world, 9 are found in Australia. You don't hear of that. You see advertising to attract you to visit Australia, Sydney or Melbourne. You did not see any advertising or indeed PR that informs you of the dangers, possibly, of travelling around within Australia. Now, governments say that they make use of public relations. However, this tends not to be public relations at all. In the main, it is what is referred to as propaganda. They're using propaganda and pretending it is public relations. An example might be a battle during a war. So a battle takes place during a war. After that battle has ended, one country announces how many of its opponents, soldiers, have been wounded or perhaps killed, and they give numbers. But the other country responds by giving how many of its enemy's soldiers have been wounded or killed, and each tries to claim a victory in that particular battle. Clearly it's not possible for both sides to have claimed a victory. Each is using PR for propaganda purposes to imply that they have won that battle in the bid to help them improve soldiers' morale and morale of people in the country towards the winning of the war. So this propaganda that governments used is often in the modern age referred to as spin. In the UK, previous government, the Labour government, had a lot of people working for the government that were called spin doctors. They were people with a public relations background, but they were not allowed to be factual and truthful. They were actually putting a slant, a spin, on the true facts to make the government of the day, the Labour government, appear in a good light. I'm going to read you something from a recent issue of the publication The Economist, and see what you think of this. So there's an article recently concerning the government's crackdown on a huge demonstration organised by civic groups calling for electoral reform. This reached the Malaysian people, and when they read that in their version of the publication, this article was disfigured by blocks of black ink. Basically, some of the wording was hidden deliberately because the Malaysian government had announced that this publication could not issue it in full, that article in full, in their country. So some of the wording was blocked out entirely. There were 3 passages that were blocked out. One concerned the death of a man from a heart attack. One was to do with the banning of a protest march. And there was also what were called heavy-handed tactics involving the military and the police. So these 3 elements of the article were censored, However, Malaysians found that all three could be read about on the website of The Economist. So they actually found out about this. They learnt the information in a different way through a different medium. So this act of censorship created a fuss, far more of a fuss than the offending passages of the article, the printed article, the written article in the first place. And it was said by others afterwards, besides being outdated, ineffective and unjustifiable by the Malaysian government, this censorship was seen as very bad public relations indeed for the Malaysian government. We need to consider who public relations activity is aimed towards. Many people think it must mean the general public, people in the population generally. This is mainly unlikely. In the main, the population is broken down into smaller, more succinct groups of people, and different messages are communicated to different groups at different times, using a different medium to reach them. The main generic publics of any organisation are as follows, particularly if they are an organisation, and particularly one that's actually, for example, manufacturing a product or providing services. One would be its employees. The second would be its potential employees, people the company is wishing to hire in the future. The third would be any suppliers to the company. The fourth would be distributors from the company. The fifth would be consumers and end users of the services or products provided. The next would be the local community living or working in the surrounding area to the company's premises. The next would be the financial community. And finally, in two parts, the opinion leaders who can influence opinion and opinion formers. Okay, so 8 distinct and succinct generic publics for any organisation. They are generic, they are general, they are not specific to any organisation. I'll now give you examples of specific publics. I'll give you 3 examples of that. The first will be the publics, the specific publics of a charity, a charitable organisation. So members, donors, voluntary workers, collectors, that's one. Beneficiaries and users of the services that the charity offers. 3 would be potential supporters and helpers. 4 would be suppliers of services and materials. 5 would be politicians, political parties and other groups. 6 would be central and local government officials. 7 would be medical and health professionals. 8 would be other charities, they sometimes work together. 9 would be opponents of the charity. And 10 would be opinion leaders. 10 examples of specific publics of a charity. Now I'll give you specific publics of a national tourist board. One will be the National Tourist Board's own government, its officials and its MPs. 2 will be distributors, travel agents, for example, package tour operators, convention organisers. 3 would be transport operators, be they rail, sea, air. 4 would be banks, credit card organisations and travellers check companies. 5 would be hotel owners, including international hotel groups. 6 would be motoring organisations, in the UK such as the AA or the RAC. 7 would be visitors to the country, such as holidaymakers, business people, students, those going to conferences, conference delegates, sports people, motorists, caravanners, campers, those types of people. And 8 would be, again, opinion leaders, perhaps travel writers in publications or on television, politicians, teachers. Okay, so there are 8 examples there of specific publics of a travel, national travel organisation. And the third example I'll give you will be publics of a food manufacturer. Okay, so it could be the community in the vicinity of the factory. It could be the potential staff, local factory or office labour, technicians from colleges, other firms, management and sales staff from other firms being attracted to the company perhaps to come and work for them. 3 would be all grades of management, office, factory, warehouse, transport and sales staff, so those working for the company already. 4 would be suppliers of local services, might be public services, suppliers of raw materials, suppliers of packaging, advertising professionals, public relations professionals perhaps. 5 would be the stock market, city editors, investment analysts, institutional buyers and shareholders. 6 would be distributors, wholesalers, those who bulk buy from the company, supermarkets, cash and carry warehouses, even hotels and restaurants and cafes, examples there. 8 would be consumers, current consumers, those who buy the products currently, and those who may buy their food products in the future. 9 would be ministers of health, government officials concerned with the fact that the food product is healthy, that it's good quality food, that the prices are suitable and so on and so forth. 10 would be trade unions and trade associations, and 11 would be opinion leaders, dietitians, food writers, doctors, dentists perhaps, and health authorities.